Please note that the following views and the opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily the views nor the opinions of the Master Force Group, Free America Radio Network, our sponsors, our partners, and MFG is a private society. Nothing here is ever to be construed as medical nor legal advice. And listen to the Forbidden History prime time 7 days a week right here on the realpublicradio.net, because hidden beneath the sands of time lies the greatest of all mysteries. It's the Forbidden History. Unearth for yourself the secret truths that lie hidden just beneath the surface below our feet. What is it that the powers that be do not want you or I to know? Well, come and journey with us as we explore and dare to know, because it's all right here, coming your way 7 days a week on the realpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network, simulcast on youtube.com. You did tell your friends, didn't you? Well, go call your friends right now. We got a moment here.
Hello, welcome to our very special Basic Reset Health website on water, hydration, and nutrient regeneration. It is not just about drinking the proper amounts of water, but we also have to have the right amount of nutrients in the water to replenish our body's daily needs. As you will soon see in the main video, after you watch this short clip about making real money online with the Master Force Group. So instead of using the hit and miss learning process, why not work with a group of experienced and professional marketers, known as the Master Force Group, an international investment and radio broadcasting company, while you then immediately go right over to the center of this page and click on the blue button and watch the video on this remarkable water and nutritional product line called Basic Reset. Now don't sign up on this promotional website, but instead, call us for your free automatic sign-up and placement under one of our group partners, who is already in our lead share program called Downline Direct. It is people helping people. You are never obligated to promote or sell anything. Call us at 608-566-7295. That's 608-566-7295. Thank you for considering the Master Force Group and Basic Reset today. Get a 20% discount on your first order the moment you sign up.
And go to these two websites, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to support this radio broadcast, go to www.healthwalk.basicreset.com. That's www.healthwalk.basicreset.com. And also go to this website, www.healthwalk.anovate.com. That's spelled ANOVITE. Anovate.com. That's www.healthwalk.anovite.com. And you can support your health while you're supporting real radio broadcasting, ladies and gentlemen. And go to our website if you want to look at our radio museum, therealpublicradio.net. That's www.thereal, that's the, T-H-E, therealpublicradio.net. Coming to you live from Studio Z at the Lighthouse in Central Ohio and Free America Radio Network in the land of dreams, enchantments, and nightmares. It's the Forbidden History series. What they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. The piracy of words, the other lost writings, the lost gospel of Jesus Christ, and Sunday nights right now coming your way, Jack and Margy Flynn, citizens of the American Constitution.org. It's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here, because, well, somebody's got to do it, right? Come on, go figure. And it's that bad, isn't it? You know how bad it really is, ladies and gentlemen, don't you? You can taste it, you can feel it, you can smell it. It stinks. It's rotten, isn't it? It's Denmark. Yeah, that's the Jesuits, of course, and all that coming your way, because that's why we're here, because we give a damn and hope that you do too. So do tell your friends. Welcome to our friends on youtube.com and also on our conference line on therealpublicradio.net. And don't forget, *5 does raise your hand. We'd love to take comments or questions from our listeners. We're still ramping up the broadcast, and this week we'll have a better audio system for our conference system, but it still is good to go. We're just doing it on a song, a wing, and a prayer. They got all the money. We don't have any money, but we still get the job done. Okay, so thank you for doing that. And I'm your host, Desert Owl, a bird who sees in the night. And I'm still looking for that blue pill. I took that red pill, and I don't want to remember anymore. So, but I can't find it. You can't go back once you know the truth, ladies and gentlemen. That's the problem, and that's the reality. So tell your friends we're going to be here for at least an hour, and finding out what Jack and Margy have to say about all of the voodoo and hoodoo and what you're going to do about it. And so stand by for the broadcast, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the broadcast. And I'm getting a memo right now from Margy. Let me pull up this thing. Your voice is breaking up. Cannot hear words, only music. I see. Well, Margy, can you hear me now that I'm talking without the music? Am I coming through? Jack? You're gonna have to unmute your side. Remember that.
Yeah, we're unmuted. Yes, I can hear you now.
Coming in loud and clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, that's the nature of this grassroots stuff, that when the music plays, it even does it on the conference line, Margy. And so, so yeah, well, that's just on your end, but it still comes through good generally on the recording and perhaps on the stream. We'll have to get an audio check from a friend out there to let us know. But anyway, welcome, Jack and Margy Flynn, citizens of the American Constitution.net. Good to have you. A long time since we've done this.
Yes, it has
been, Desert. Good to be with you again.
Yes, it is.
Right, and you were sending out some heavy emails today. I saw, and I thought it was rather interesting. Okay, let's see, you're sending out this information on the Noahide laws, and I knew about those like 20 years ago. Of course, that's when it happened back last century in the mid 1990s, I think. And then so we got a group of Jews that created laws that says if you're a Bible thumping Christian, then we're going to cut your head off. And then isn't it interesting? We got another group of people called Muslims, and if you won't follow Allah and Islam, they want to cut your heads off. So it's pretty well a done deal then, isn't it, Jack and Margy, for the Christians in America?
It certainly sounds like they're trying to crush us between the proverbial rock and the hard place. You know?
What a country, huh?
Oh, yeah. What a country. What a bunch of baloney.
Yeah.
We're the idiots for listening to these morons on any level possible. We let, the simplest factions, which are just ruthless, greedy, self-serving, tyrannical people, shanghai our government and our country. And we're going to be paying the price for it if we don't get our heads out of our behinds and start acting like responsible human beings. It's time for that. Big time.
Well, absolutely. For our new listeners on our YouTube channel, we've had just in a couple of weeks over 500 listens now, and we've got getting about 26 subscribers, and we're just ramping up. For a primer, if we're going to do this every Sunday night, as long as you're available, then why don't you tell people who you folks are, what you're about, how we got here?
Sure. All right, I'll start this saga. A lot of people out there may not know us, and maybe some do. We're Jack and Margy Flynn, and we've been teaching the constitutions and how to apply them and how to be responsible human beings as well as responsible citizens for a good part of our lives. Jack started his mission, if you will, way back over 60 years ago, and mine's well over 50 years ago. And what we've been trying to do in fits and spurts and intensively for a good decade or more now is to help people wake up to the reality in which they're living. We live in a world that's basically a sham. We've been lied to, we've been cheated, we've been fed misinformation and disinformation virtually from the time we come out of the womb, maybe even before. And we've been programmed and conditioned and propagandized until we really do not have much critical thinking or independent mindedness left. We've become really a nation of sheep and lemmings, and we're all too willing to believe what the so-called teachers and authoritarian figures tell us, what the priests and rabbis or professors at school say. And if you listen very carefully and start connecting the dots, you'll see that the message is all the same. It's be a good duty, obey, do just enough to go along to get along, but don't ask too many questions, don't challenge the system, be too different, and don't expect to know what's really going on. And as a species, we are failing our biggest test, which is to see truth and reality. And, if you think of the words of Jesus when he told us long, long, long ago that the truth would set us free, I think the truth that he was referring to is the truth of everything, and it's very profound. And right now on the earth, we're acting sort of in almost a robotized state where everything is divide and conquer, and we have all sorts of groups that are fragmented and unfortunately factionalized against one another, even within and among themselves. And this serves only the dark side. It serves the powers that be that want to keep us ignorant, want to keep us divided and conquered so that we really will never have the strength or the presence of mind or the independence of thought to question and challenge what the rulers of the country and or the world are actually doing. And wondering, well, for whom do these games actually work? Because it certainly isn't for the people that they're supposed to guide, protect, and in some cases, in a monarchy rule. I think we would probably be less than honest with ourselves if we were to say, oh yeah, things aren't that bad, because folks, they are, and they're getting worse by the day. And anybody who doubts that, all you have to do is read a newspaper or look at the headlines on Yahoo News or whatever search engine you use, and you'll see that it's just one macabre, bizarre, horrendous thing happening after another on virtually every level of existence. And I don't think it was really the intent of our true God, the one true God, the God that Jesus spoke of. I don't think that was his intention for us to live a life like this. So looking back, Jack and I have always questioned everything. We were always the kid that kept saying, but why? Or I don't understand, or how come it isn't this way? And of course, we got censured a bit by our teachers, and some of our friends thought we were crazy. Our parents didn't know what to do with us, etc. But we persisted because there was something in us, perhaps you could call it our spirit, the flame of our soul, or whatever, the divine spark, that pushed us forward to say, no, this isn't right, and you can't allow it. You can't just walk away and say everything's fine when you know in your heart of hearts that it isn't. So along those lines, we eventually became interested in I guess you'd call it the nuts and bolts of how our so-called civilization works or is supposed to work. And necessarily because we're Americans, this lifetime anyway, we became enamored with the Constitution and the principles that it sets forth, and with the idealized notion of a self-governing nation. In our document, the Constitution is one of the greatest documents ever written by mankind. It's the only one that set forth the tenets for the people of the nation to rule themselves. Unfortunately, the people of this nation, I guess, were not up to the task because they weren't paying attention for too long, if at all, in the very beginning. And they sat back and allowed their elected representatives to basically take over. And they forgot that they were supposed to be minding the store and speaking up and speaking out when something is wrong, and holding our elected representatives, our senators, whether it was local or nationwide, to the requirements that are imposed upon all public servants, public officers, when they take their oaths of office. There are strict requirements, and those requirements mean that they're supposed to uphold the constitutions in letter and spirit. And that means they must abide by their oaths when they perform their duties, uphold the rights of the people, and never, ever deny or interfere with due process of law. Anybody who's had any experience with the so-called court system, justice system, or even the so-called administrative systems operating in this country knows full well that the public servants, quote unquote, do not uphold their oaths. Most of them have no idea what those oaths mean. It's like a rote exercise in meaninglessness. And it's up to the people to remind them and bring them back straight, as Thomas Jefferson said, to bind them with the chains of the Constitution, because that constitutional oath exerts a limitation upon what a public officer can or cannot do lawfully. And once he steps outside of his oath, he's no longer a viable public officer because he has vacated the office by perjuring his oath. It's a very simple premise. It's something that Jack and I have been teaching for a very long time. As you know, Desert, we used to appear on your show a lot and other radio programs throughout the country. We've done seminars over a year, 10, 12 years or so, and we went all over the country trying to awaken an interest in the American people in their own constitution nationally and in their state constitutions as well, and in empowering them to see that they are the real digital government in this country, not the people who operate the machinery of government. But it's a tough sell because it requires a little bit of work, some reading, some comprehension, some exercising, and the courage and conviction to stand up and speak truth to power when power starts to abuse the people. Unfortunately, it's not for the faint of heart, apparently, because not too many people were able to do it. Some of them grasped the concepts, and a lot of them said they wanted to grasp the concepts, but when it came down to actually putting the old pedal to the metal, a lot of them just cut and ran. They just didn't have the stomach for it. Many of them got caught up with other things that were interesting, like getting themselves out of problems with traffic tickets, etc. But they didn't understand that the dynamics of what we were trying to ignite, if you will, was a responsible people to hold their government responsible, not just to worry about their own personal problems, but to get our country back on track. And unfortunately, it just didn't happen. And it's been a major disappointment for Jack and for me, which is why we stopped doing radio and just kind of retired.
Oh, yeah, I know you. Yeah, Margy, real quick, because we have a friend listening in for an audio check, and I can tell myself the audio is not perfect now. What type of because if we're going to do this, we'll get you a good mic if we have to. But what do you Magic Jack right now? Is that how you're calling us?
No, I'm calling you on Skype.
Skype, and you have
Skype, like, it's just a regular mic. I don't even know what the brand is. Just a regular.
Right in front of the computer, microphone type of thing.
Yeah, it's a microphone that's hooked into the computer through a port.
Well, we'll try to get a studio mic for you so that we have better quality coming up. But we're doing a test tonight, and we're just our first interview on YouTube, and we got some ramping up to do still. So we'll pull it together. And let's see, what is her Skype contact? Margy, do you want to give out contact information? This is a good friend, Bob, that's tuning in. Still a law student. Go ahead.
It's Margy at MARGYF. As in Frank.
Yeah, Margy F, all one word?
Yep, one word.
MARGYF as in Frank.
Bob. Lowercase.
Yeah. Yes. And Bob, we met through the law groups when I had my network, and I was doing, I think he came from, I can't remember. We've had so many programs now, but I did 7-day-a-week law programming. But we're good enough. You're still coming through. We just have a little. It's in other words, it's like about a 7 right now. We want to get to a 10. But please continue where you're going with all this, Margy.
Okay. Well, the point that I'm trying to make is that the American people have to be ready to make a choice. They have to decide whether they want to continue to be slaves to a tyrannical system that has no good intentions for them, or whether they want to be independent-minded, really conscious beings who not only want the truth, but allow themselves to see the truth, to hear it, and to understand it, and then to convey it to other people. Because right now, the truth is kind of ugly. And a lot of people are so turned off by that, they can't discuss it with their families and friends because they don't want to hear it. I'm sure you know what that's like when people in your own circle of friends just get angry with you because they don't want to hear what you have to say because they think it's negative.
Yeah.
And we've been saying for years it is negative because it's awful, but we're not being negative saying it. We're being positive to show you that there is a way out of this trap if you will allow yourself to first see it. You can't fix something if you don't know it's broke. And this is where we've been trying to put a platform up for people to be empowered again by and through their own mental ideations, their own thought processes, their ability to see themselves as beings of light who are divine and eternal, finite but eternal, and also who have a responsibility while they're in physical body to deal with the physical world in a responsible and knowing way. And that's it in a nutshell. That's what we've been trying to do. The nuts and bolts, of course, go to the Constitution and all of the methodology that we've done, and we'll be happy to send out our methods to anybody, but we do not do work for people, nor do we expect them to expect us to do work for them. we expect people to be self-starters, do the homework, and learn the methods, and then stand up for their rights and do it with conviction and courage and confidence.
Right, right. Now I'm getting feedback when I'm talking, so I don't know if you have to redirect your speakers. It's a little better now. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
So my question is, because you use a technology or a technique known as the presumptive letter, with the supported by an affidavit, playing poker with them, using the Constitution against them because they say they are, upholders of the Constitution, so to speak, within their system. They give it lip service. We know they don't really recognize it. So this technology, the presumptive letter, affidavit, Constitution, oath of office, all these things, was this actually conceived of within your own minds, Margy? I mean, you didn't learn it at university or anything like that, right?
No, we didn't learn it at university at all. We learned it through the school of hard knocks and paying attention to what goes on.
Yeah.
Know that every public office is swears an oath. That oath means something. It's not a joke. It's a serious promise and a commitment. It's a compact, if you will, with the people, given for the public trust. And if a public officer doesn't uphold his oath, he doesn't deserve the public trust. It's that simple. And we say it over and over again that any act or action by any public officer in his official capacity either opposes and supports the constitutions or opposes, denies, and violates them. It's that simple. There's no shades of gray here. They either uphold the constitutions and their oaths, or they don't. And if they don't, they do not deserve to remain in office, and the people have to know this and have to act immediately when they are treated in an unconstitutional fashion and roast these thugs out of office. It's not that difficult. But getting people to understand it, to know their own power, that's the hard part, because they're so conditioned and programmed, they're afraid of man. Okay, they've been blindsided and actually brainwashed by the whole statutory administrative nonsense that's been, imposed in place of constitutionality, that they think that's the real law, and it isn't. As long as those laws and statutes and regulations and policies conflict with the Constitution in any way, they're not valid law. It's
Right.
that simple.
Absolutely.
And
And
that's, go ahead.
well, I was going to say, I know we have Jack standing by. He may be chomping at the bit to jump in here.
You
So
probably, I was gonna say,
your-
when you
your-
pass it off to him,
your
I'll
time.
probably-
your time
Yeah.
on. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Hey, Jack.
Margy, Dave, hi, Desmond, how are you? Good to be with you again.
Yes, sir.
Margy gave a good summation of our background and what we've been doing for the past many, many years. As she says, I've been doing this for over 60 years. She's been doing it for over 50. As an avocation, not as a vocation. This is a serious effort on our behalf, which is why we've devoted so many years to it. And the effort is for America. The effort is for the Republic, and the effort is for the people. The unfortunate position, as Margy mentioned, is that the people have been so programmed, so conditioned, so propagandized, so set up in boxes that they really don't even know what the truth is. They've been told what the truth is, but what they've been told obviously is not the truth. And the people, unfortunately, for the most part, have not really sought the truth. If someone wants to play quarterback for the New England Patriots, he can't just wish that he wants to play quarterback. He has to get out there, he has to do the work, and he has to be Tom Brady, best quarterback in the history of football. And I know a little something about quarterbacking because I'm an ex-quarterback, and he is the best by far all time in the history of the game. Okay. If one wants to be a professional fighter, he can't wish to be a professional fighter. He has to get out there and do the work. And he has to be someone like Muhammad Ali or Rocky Marciano, okay, when they were alive. You can't wish for it. You have to immerse yourself in it. You have to put yourself in it. Now, there have been some American people who have done that. But there's so few, they don't even show up on any radar. They don't show up on any screen.
Yeah.
The vast majority of the population, as you well know, Desmond, has gone along to go along. They've gone along with the system. They've gone along with the fraud. They've gone along with the nonsense. And that doesn't help the nation, and that doesn't help the people. That doesn't help them, and that doesn't help their families, their kids, their grandkids, and posterity. So we've been in a situation for a very long time in this country in which the people have simply supported the ongoing evil. And that's exactly what it is. We have right, we have wrong, we have good, we have bad, we have up, we have down. This is a planet of opposites. The people, unfortunately, right across the board, have supported the evil that rules us. They have not supported the good that is trying to stop the evil. They've supported warfare forever. They think warfare is wonderful. Warfare is hell. They've supported the police. The police are not good. The police are the evil supporting the evil system, just as the military is evil supporting the evil system. The judges are evil supporting the evil system. The lawyers, right on down the line. We must begin to think outside the box. Very few people have that ability. And as I say, there are some. Percentage-wise, it's very small. It's probably a 20th of 1% at most. Okay? That's not enough to make a difference. In the last revolution that formed this nation, the Revolutionary War, there were approximately 3% of the people who participated in the revolution. About 1.5% of that 3%, okay, about half, actually participated in the warfare. You couldn't get, if something hit the fan right now, okay, and the government came down on all of us, you couldn't get 300 people to form that revolution. And I'm not suggesting that we want a revolution.
Yeah.
We don't want a revolution. I'm just talking about the caliber of the people.
Sure.
The caliber of the people has deteriorated to such a degree, with the exceptions I mentioned, that we are a very sick nation. And unless we start looking to the truth and looking to reality and start holding those who have hurt us responsible and hold them accountable and liable for their actions, nothing is going to change. Now, Margy spoke of the Constitution. She spoke of Jesus. Well, what happened to Jesus? What happens to people, Socrates, and you name it, many other people? What happens to people who really try to bring truth and enlightenment and reality?
The government comes down on them. Simple.
Exactly. Every single one, without exception. Okay? And the most famous of those was probably Jesus, and before him or many others.
Yeah.
They followed in the same line. But Jesus is known to most people. And he came to teach the truth and to set people free by teaching the truth. Okay? By waking them up to the real situations in existence, to the reality that was surrounding them that they didn't even see. And what did the Jews do? They killed him. Okay? Now, they blame it on the Romans blame it on the Jews. It was a concerted effort to kill the truth out. Our Constitution has been treated in the same vein. Margy mentioned that this is a fine document. Well, it's the finest egalitarian document ever created by man for the governance of a nation by the people of that nation. The only thing is the people, as a society, with those exceptions mentioned previously, has not taken the time to immerse themselves in the law of the land and to accept the authority that the Constitution has given to them. They've let their government run roughshod from the very beginning. George Washington was not a great man. He was the first traitor. George Washington was the first traitor of this nation. Now, this may shock a lot of people, but the people have really been focused upon the truth in history instead of the fraud in history. And I think a lot of your audience is focused on the truth in history. They'll realize George Washington was the first on the traitors. He established the first central bank in this country, okay? He was the president of the Constitutional Convention when that wasn't a constitutional convention. It was simply a convention to strengthen the Articles of Confederation and give more power to the states in unison to support a common alliance. That's all that convention was for. But Washington seized it as the other Federalists seized it and created a monster called the United States of America. Now, at first, the monster was tame. The monster was not as violent as the monster is now. But the people didn't know what was going on then, just as the people don't know what's going on now. Now, Margy speaks about the system and how evil the system is. And the system is diabolically evil. She mentioned that anyone who has had anything to do with the system realizes that. You know, we've been talking about this for a long time, as a lot of other people have too. And we've been called crazy, we've been called insane. But over 50, 60, 70 years, people have seen the reality. Not all people, some people, not enough people. We need many more people like that. Now, despite the evil that exists within our systems, all our systems, across the board, I don't care what system it is. If it's a system organized by man, it's diabolically evil. And if you don't believe it, test it out. We have been able to win consistently against that diabolically evil system for the past 60 years. Now, in New Mexico alone, where we lived there for about 16 years. We went there to retire. Man upstairs didn't have that in mind for us, so we got thrust right back into the political system again. We began teaching in New Mexico, and during our time there, we won hundreds and hundreds of cases against a very evil system. If you think you live in an evil area, you haven't lived in New Mexico, okay? They can teach your people and your system and your government trust that they're going to own.
Yeah.
We were able to win because we used the Constitution as the Constitution was devised to be used. And the methods we used, we put together in a brief format. And we'll be happy to send those methods to anyone who's interested by email, okay? We don't teach anymore. We don't do work with people. We simply make information available to people. Then if they're really interested, they'll get into the information and understand it and work on their own to develop whatever they need to develop in their own communities. We don't do that anymore, okay? We're retired from that. We're in the process of writing second course right now, but we're nearing completion on 2 of them, so that's where we're going around. But if anyone has a problem, either personally or better yet, if someone wants to change the governance in his own community, whether it be a local issue or a county issue, city issue, state issue, we'll show the methods that have been extremely successful by using the authority of the Constitution against the system. And I mean, the way we do most of our cases, the way we've done most of our cases in the past, we win before we even go to court. Because, as you mentioned, Desert, we use what is called a presumptive letter that we write to our opponent, or singular, in which letter we charge our opponent with various due process, constitutional rights violations, and other crimes. And lawfully, if our opponent does not rebut what we've claimed in our letter, then pursuant to the lawful warning contained in that letter, the opponent admits to all of those charges and claims against him, fully binding upon him in court without his protest, objection, or that of those who was represented, I should say. So we essentially win before we ever go to court, because no one ever rebuts our positions in our letters, because our positions, our charges, and claims are based in true fact, law, and evidence. And if our opponent is going to rebut our charges, then he has to base his rebuttal in truth, fact, law, and evidence. Well, that's an impossibility. If we're so based, our opponent cannot base his rebuttal in truth, fact, law, and evidence, therefore he never does. Once he fails to respond, in 30 days, we write an affidavit in which we essentially reiterate the charges, and we give our opponent a second chance to rebut those charges by means of his own sworn and notarized affidavit.
Yeah.
In 60 years of doing this desert, no official has ever rebutted our affidavit.
You called their hand. You called their hand.
Of course we called it.
And basically, it has a similar nature of what we would call a demand for bill of particulars, but yet it has more force because it's based on truth, fact, and law, and in a form of an affidavit, which is really the most superior form of document within law, right?
That's correct, and it's all founded on constitutional principles. And of course, an unrebutted affidavit stands as truth before the court. And most people realize, or I think members of your audience realize, that courts are convened to hear matters of controversy. That's the whole objective of the purpose of the court. If my opponent admits to everything I've charged him with, then there's no controversy, okay? Zero controversy exists and the victory is ours. We win most of our cases before we ever go to court. And when we go to court, even the most difficult cases are won within 10 minutes. Okay? Now, this is something that people may not believe. That's up to you. We've got a track record. We've got the victories to show it. The bottom line here is we're saying that the Constitution can work for the people if the people are willing to work with the Constitution. And getting back to the position on court hearing matters of controversy, again, if our opponent admits to our charges and claims, there's no controversy. So what we do if we're a defendant, for instance, we will write a motion to dismiss, and we'll write our reasons as to why the motion should be granted. And we will attach as exhibits to that motion the presumptive letter and the affidavit to support our positions. As soon as that hits the judge, once we've qualified the judge pursuant to his oath, the judge really has no leeway. He has no discretion whatsoever other than to award the people once.
Yeah, and in fact, he has no jurisdiction. That's the bottom line, right?
No court in this country has jurisdiction over an American citizen or an American state citizen. Every court in the country has jurisdiction over 14th Amendment U.S. citizens.
Slaves.
Okay? And it's a very, very big difference.
Yeah.
We explain all of these differences in our paperwork. So again, the judge is sitting there as an evil being in an evil system. And I know a lot of people may not like that, but history has proven that these beings are evil.
I finally concluded they're following the Babylonian Talmud, and that's why it's so evil, Jack. But go ahead.
Yes, and there's a lot going with that Talmud, and there's a lot going on with Babylonia, and there's a lot going on with ancient Mesopotamia and the residual effect down to the present day. So yes, you're absolutely correct. In any event, when we go to court, whether we're a defendant or whether we're a plaintiff, as soon as the judge convenes the court, we know that that judge is our enemy. That judge is the enemy of the American people. And what infuriates Margy and me is that all of these politicians, and I mean all, without exception, are the enemies of the American people. All of the judges, all of the police, all of the bureaucrats, all of the military are the enemies of the American people and the enforcers of the system. But yet the people allow these idiots and these usurpers and these treasonous to sit in place. It infuriates me. I don't like evil. I don't know many people who do like evil except for evil. If you don't like evil, take it the hell out of office. Take constitutional positions to remove these people from office. When we were in New Mexico, we removed about 4 dozen politicians, police, etc. from office. If we can do it, anyone can do it. We're not lawyers. We're American citizens. We're average people. But we're concerned about our country. We're concerned about the Constitution. Okay? Now, knowing that the judge is our enemy, as soon as the judge convenes the court, he will say to the opponent, the U.S. attorney, or whoever it is, or Mr. U.S. attorney, is the government ready to proceed? And that idiot will say, yes, Your Honor, the government is ready to go ahead. And he'll look at me or Margy, or whoever is speaking in our position, and say, Mr. Flynn, are you ready to proceed? And we say, no, sir, not at this moment. It's never, Your Honor. Titles of nobility are prohibited by the Constitution.
Yep.
No, sir. We have a few questions before we proceed, and he usually says, go right ahead. And right away, we will nail him on the public record pursuant to his oath. Not only him, but the prosecuting attorney. And we say, sir, you and the prosecuting attorney have taken oaths to support and defend the federal and state constitutions. Is that correct? Okay. We never ask a question in court unless we know the answer to the question, unless we have some understanding. The only other question we ask in court is a confirming question. We made a statement. You have taken an oath to support and defend the Constitution. Okay? That's a fact. That's a truth. That's a requirement. It's required by the Constitution, the state constitution, federal law, state law, usually county law as well. Okay? And then we're asking the confirming question, is that correct? And right away, they usually say yes. Yes, of course. And then we follow that up and say, with all due respect, you and the prosecuting attorney are required to abide by those oaths and conform to your official duties, especially those before this honorable court. Is that correct? When we get a yes to that, then we confirmed on the public record that they have both the prosecuting attorney and the judge take an oath and must abide by those oaths in the performance of their official duties. If you know the Constitution well and you know how to proceed in court, you essentially just won the case. Now, these are spelled out in our methods that we will be glad to send to anyone. Don't expect us to do your work. We won't do that. We don't do work for anyone. We're not lawyers. We don't give legal advice. We simply tell you what we would do in any situation if you speak with us directly. But we don't do any work for any people. But we will show you how you can help yourself or help the community if you want. And if you'd like to have that information, you can email us at takeback-our-rights@yahoo.com. Very simple. takeback-our-rights@yahoo.com. And our website, if anyone would care to view that, is citizensoftheamericanconstitution.net.
Yeah.
Citizensoftheamericanconstitution.net.
Right.
Go ahead, Des.
Well, yeah. See, I'm trying to. It's been a long time since we've done an interview, and we used to do them weekly, and I had it all ingrained in my head, and I've gone through some stuff since we've been together. So maybe my age or stress level, but I'm trying to. So what is the nexus? In other words, you nailed them to the wall. They agreed that they took oaths to uphold and defend the Constitution. And then where are they at? How or where are they dropping the ball then at the point when they agree? Could you elaborate on that, Jack?
Once they agree that they've taken an oath and must abide by that oath in the performance of their official duties, they're required to uphold all constitutional rights and all due process of law rights. Okay?
Yeah.
Well, since we are based, Margy, I, and our people are based in truth, fact, law, and evidence, and based in constitutional positions, what we have presented to the court is absolutely true. And we've also presented to the court the fraud that has been perpetrated upon us by our opponent, to which our opponents admitted when they refused to address our letter and refused to address our affidavit. Therefore, pursuant to the warning that we provided in both of those documents, which is if you fail to rebut the position stated, you admit to them.
Okay. And so you have made a claim on top of everything else, right? You've made a claim.
That's correct. A charge and a claim. That's
Okay,
correct.
okay. Way to go. Yeah, because they're in other words, like on the traffic thing, there is no law that says you have to have a license, so it's all presumption. And then they beat you up to prove that they're right and you're wrong, right? That's all they do.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've gone way beyond traffic. I mean, we did that years ago, but we've gone way beyond that. We've gone to the Supreme Court. We've gone to various courts, appellate courts, and on issues that are pretty stagnant. But this can win on anything if one really wants to use it. We're not saying it can't work for traffic. Of course it works for traffic. It works for anything if one knows how to use it. But the trick here is most people, and this may not be your audience, but most people are not willing to learn that which is going to help them. Okay? Most people want us or want someone else to do the work for them. Okay? And that's not going to work.
Yeah.
We were put on this earth for many reasons. We don't have to get into that right now. But one of those reasons is to be responsible for our own actions and our own lives. Responsibility is very important. We need people, people need us. But ultimately, each one is responsible for himself. Okay? So if someone really wants to learn the Constitution and learn how to apply the Constitution, which is extremely important, this method can work. Now, it's called the Jack and Margy method, but it's really the constitutional method. All we've done is taken the constitutional positions brought forth by our forefathers and put them together in a very orderly fashion with a process that can show people how they can win against almost anything, whether it be in court, out of court, against government, against corporation, against city council, whatever, okay? But it takes tenacity, it takes perseverance, it takes courage, it takes commitment. And unfortunately, a lot of people are not willing to do that. You know, they'll come to us and say, well, can you do this for us? Can you write a motion? No. No.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we're not lawyers, we don't give legal advice. But we'll be happy to talk to people, and we would talk to them about their situations, and or we'll just send them the paperwork so they can learn on their own.
Yeah.
But there are other things we can probably get into beyond this.
Sure.
I know you've done a lot of work on ancient writings, and we read some of that work, and it's pretty remarkable, and the truth regarding our history is pretty remarkable. Most people are not familiar with the real history. Most people are familiar with the phony history, the out-of-date history. And I know Margy would like to come back in here because she has some things she would like to say about this.
Okay.
If we go back to ancient times, our belief is the original civilization upon this earth, our civilizations upon this earth, were godlike. They were humanitarian. They were ethical. They had morality. They dealt in fairness. They had intelligence. They had perceptive abilities. Okay? They could communicate on many levels. That's how we believe the original beings on this planet were. I'm not talking the apes. I'm not talking Neanderthals. I'm not talking the original beings. And then those original beings were, let's say, seduced into doing other things by other beings, and we can call those beings evil. And they were evil at the time, the way we see it. I think the history has borne that out, the studies have borne that out. And unfortunately, the original beings, with all their intelligence and all their common sense and all their high-minded abilities, were seduced by evil and became the slaves of evil. And that has been going on since the beginning of time. And I know Margy would like to speak more about this. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
And before you do, Margy, jump in. Jack and Margy, do you have a fan or any motor running in the background? I'm trying to figure out.
Maybe it might be my computer fan that's working.
Yeah, is there a way you can redirect it or slow it down? Because that may be
It's-
having an effect on the audio.
It's just part of the machine, and there's really nothing I can do about it. That's what keeps the machine
Okay.
from.
Okay, we're going to get you a good studio mic that'll improve the quality. You're still good. Go ahead.
Well, I caught some of the end of what Jack was saying.
Oh, your audio is perfect now. I don't know, whatever you did, it's really good now. Go ahead.
Oh, good.
That's because she's speaking.
Yeah, right. No,
No, you improved it. Thank you.
that's what it was. Yeah, just joking. I want to just touch upon a couple of things because I want to make an analogy, a comparison. Jack was speaking of the system and how evil it is in terms of, government courts and what have you. And I don't want to belabor that point because I think it's something that most of us know. And your audience is pretty aware, so yeah, I don't have to beat this over their heads with a stick. They got it. But I want to draw a comparison between our physical, material world, if you will, government, institutions of all kinds, and the so-called spiritual world that has been portrayed to us or conveyed to us by various factions of religiosity, philosophy, whatever methodology people look to when they think about matters that are deeper than the day-to-day, everyday humdrum life. And like you, we have a longing, I think, to know the spiritual truth. And we have a realization that spiritual truth is severely lacking on planet Earth. And it doesn't make sense if you look at all of the posturing and all of the tales we've been told since we were young kids about why we're here and what we're supposed to do, and learning and being on the karmic wheel and getting better and allowing ourselves to experience so God experiences, etc. And there's a lot of what I consider to be traps, traps in this way of thinking, because we're always put in the inferior position because we're humans. But I have to remind myself, and I think we all need to think about this, that the divine spark that is in us, that gives us life, the spiritual, the spirit, the animus, that is not of this realm. That is of the divine. That is of the first light, the first cause, the first source, the one true God. And if that divinity rests in us, even in an infinitesimal place and amount, then we are of the same stuff that our creator source is. So, given that that's our true nature, and that means we are truly divine beings, we have unfortunately been taken away from that nature and mind controlled and brainwashed into believing that we're somehow fallen and wrong. And I don't buy it for a second. I think we've been duped by some clever alien beings who long ago, hundreds of thousands of years ago, came to Earth and realized it was a pretty cool place. And they did what they did in such a way that they managed to manipulate, deceive, and oust the kind, loving, ethical beings who were benevolent, who were benign. They weren't predators. And they replaced the hierarchy, if there even was one, with a hierarchy of control and predation. And ever since then, we have been victimized by a lie. Just as people who go to court are victimized by a lie, they think they're going to get justice, they think they're going to have their rights upheld, but they think that the judge is there to justly and unbiasedly arbitrate their case. They're wrong. Well, I think human beings have been fed a bunch of garbage. And I honestly believe that virtually every organized religion on this planet was seeded by the same group of aliens, with just enough commonality and just enough differences to always create an argument, a discussion, and to keep the people divided, mindset to mindset, ideology to ideology, philosophy to philosophy, we can go on forever. There are myriad things that people vehemently disagree about every day. They'll get into fisticuffs. They'll hurt each other over whose God is better, okay, which is nonsense, because the God in which I trust, the God from whom I come, is a loving God. He's a God of mercy. He's a God of compassion. He's a God of infinite goodness. He's not the God of power and might, but smites people because he doesn't like the way they look, or talk to him, or they didn't use the right word, or they ate meat on Friday, or whatever. We really have to stop acting like ignorant, gullible children. And we have to start becoming mature in a spiritual fashion. Mature enough to the point that we allow ourselves the right to question everything we've been told. Because 99.99% of what we've been told is a lie. And the lies have been told not to help us, not to test us, to make us ask more questions, but to serve a dark and evil purpose. And you can call it a dark purpose, and you can call it Luciferian, you can call it satanic, you can say whatever you want. A number of different names that you can associate with this darkness. But the bottom line is still the bottom line. And it is anti-humanity. It is anti-God, the real God. And it is anti-truth. And all of those things, to me, add up to nothing but misery and suffering repeated over and over again on a planet that has become a prison. And it's time for the human beings to stop suffering and stop looking at suffering as being something good and holy, because it's not. That's nonsense. Our suffering feeds these vampires. They're basically energy vampires. We have to wake up and we have to recognize Jesus told us to come here and be in joy, to love one another. And that's not what suffering does. That's not what sacrifice does. And I think if Jesus were able to speak tonight to an audience, he would say, don't buy any of the stuff that the church has taught you about me, why I came here, or what supposedly happened to me, because it's poppycock. It was designed to put you in fear and make you willingly sacrifice so that you think you're going to be holy like me. You know, for a long time, people have looked at Jack and I as though we are oddities. We've been called everything under the sun. Very frequently we're called radicals. And I always joke around and say, oh, I'll take a bow for that, because radical, the word comes from the word erratic in Latin, which means root. And the root of all, in my view, is our Creator, our source. We can't really name it, we can't really envision it, because it's so infinite and vast and beyond us. But we can sense it and we can feel it. And when I feel and sense that presence is not malevolent, it is not vengeful, it is not cruel, it is not judgmental, it is pure and abiding love. So as human beings, we have to start looking at ourselves with different eyes. We have to start asking questions without fear. In fact, with a feeling of fulfillment and justification, because I believe we came here at this time, this cycle, this lifetime, to put an end to the fraud, both in the physical, material world and in the spiritual world that we've been led to believe is our place in the sun. It isn't. We've been duped, and there are many, many scholarly works about this that if people are interested, they can certainly look into. There are a number of people who have written on the subject, who have done videos on the subject. You can start with, for the very prima basic, Barbara Marciniak book, Rivers of the Dawn, which is a wonderful book. You can also look into the work of Robert M. Stanley or Gerald E. Clark, Wes Penre, Penre. All of these people have done a lot of seeking and a lot of soul searching. Some of them agree on some concepts and some of them disagree. But all of them are what I would term truth seekers. And they are people of conscience and people who appear to be sincere and who are looking for the truth. And I really believe that Jesus was correct when he told us the truth would set us free. If we can see through the sham, if we can break through this false paradigm that we've been living in for eons, I believe that we will know what true freedom is. And until we're willing to look at the truth with our eyes open and our ears attentive, and be able to accept the truth, even if it conflicts with everything we thought we knew because somebody else told us. Until we can do this and accept it with an open mind and a willing heart, we will never be free, regardless of who governs us, what city or town we live in, or what planet. And that's just my 2 cents.
Okay, Margy. Well, that was a mouthful. I being that I follow pretty well the teachings of Yeshua, the Mashiach, and of course they changed his name because they control all information. He pretty much says it's not our world. I get what you're saying, but I've concluded that the darkness rules, and therefore the next world that we go to is really the one to be preferred because this I just don't see. In other words, I've had a saying, that we lose because of 99.99% of everybody else, even when we're right, right?
Well, that's partly true, Joseph. But the thing that's really scary, and the thing that I want people to think about if they've never thought about it before, is that what we're told about the so-called next world that we go to is a fraud. We've been lied to. We're kept in a loop, a time loop, if you will, coming back to this plane over and over again because these dark lords are kind of like time lords. They have a lot of technological power, which they exploit and proffer as if it's spiritual truth, and it is not. And if anyone is interested in understanding how they do this and what the background story is, then I highly suggest that they look up on the internet Robert Stanley, RobertStanley, Gerald Clark, Gerald Clark, Clark, and also Wes Penry, Wespenre. All three of these fellows have a lot to say. And there's also an Italian by the name of Mauro Bonino who has a lot to say too. But you have to read his subtitles because he doesn't speak very good English. But he is a translator who the Bible employed to translate some ancient texts for them. The Vatican wanted him to do this because they had read some of his works, and apparently what he had translated made them feel that he was the right guy because it was akin to what they wanted the translations to say. So he began translating, and apparently what he saw was very different from what the powers that be wanted him to say, and they wanted it to change it, and he wouldn't do it, so they fired him. And what he has to say about what's in most of the so-called holy books is very interesting and very enlightening. And for some people will probably be very disturbing. But as I said before, we need to know the truth, even if it's the truth that upsets us or frightens us or makes us angry or makes us confused. We will eventually settle into the reality of the truth and we'll be better off for it.
Absolutely.
The bottom line is that fraud has been used as a device to deceive the people forever on all levels, spiritual, as well as physical. Okay. And if this is my own personal feeling, others may not share it, but I feel very strongly about this. If the people are not responsible enough and not willing enough to solve their political problems here on earth, then they're shut out from ever doing anything true in spirit. They're caught in the perpetual loop. They're caught into the karmic loop, the karmic wheel. It's called the wheel for a certain reason. You never get off the damn wheel. You're on it for eternity.
Right. Good point.
Yeah, and you're serving evil. You're serving the bad guys. Yeah. You're not learning anything. You're not learning a damn thing. When I first learned about karma when I was a kid, I said, what are you, insane? You out of your mind? I come from a spiritual family. My people who read Casey and some of the old psychics going way back. So I was kind of introduced to this pretty early. And I said, my God, you mean in this life, because some ancestor of mine 500 years ago did something I'm supposed to suffer for what he did? I said, that's bull. I don't accept that. I don't agree with that. It's total, complete nonsense. It's something that keeps us in a closed loop, which is the psychic wheel, okay? But again, my feeling, and again, I can't say it's real or not, but it's my feeling. If we are not responsible enough as people here to solve the evil that's consuming us on this earth, through the political systems, through the religious systems, through the social systems, through the academic systems, through the media systems, the legal systems, and all the other systems, then we don't qualify to learn the truth of the real spiritual system, and we're caught in that loop forever.
Right.
So that might be something to think about.
Absolutely, Jack. And that'd be a good way to end the program then. And I think that's a good food for thought and discussion. And we can pick it up next week then. Any final thought, Margy, on your end? Because
I just want to say that I hope that people will listen to this, these suggestions, these thoughts, to really ponder them with new ears, new eyes, new heart, and open mind.
absolutely. Okay, give out your contact information one more time, your website.
Sure. Our website is citizensoftheamericanconstitution.net, and you can email us at takebackourrights@yahoo.com.
Okay, and we're going to be here on Sunday nights for the moment on the realpublicradio.net and on youtube.com. And tell your friends, ladies and gentlemen, this is being recorded, so please share it with your friends. Jack and Margy have been hitting home runs with the constitutional oaths, and so not only, we've got people that have been railroaded in prison, like 70% at least of the people in prison today shouldn't be there, as many judges have said privately in conversations that everybody in prison has basically agreed to be there, and that's noteworthy and food for thought, because Jack and Margy are saying you don't have to volunteer, you just need to call their hand with the truth. And so Jack and Margy, thank you so much for your dedication and all you've done throughout your lives to serve mankind and be there for us. And we'll look forward to having you back next Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here, okay?
Good,
We
Desmond.
thank you for your dedication also.
Yes,
David.
and have a wonderful week,
Be
everyone.
well.
That's
Good night.
all right. Good night. Thank you. Bye-bye. And you just got it right here, ladies and gentlemen. And don't forget, we're trying to make a difference, but we do need your support. We can't do it without you. So you can start by telling a friend, won't you? Hit that subscribe button and like it if you like what you're hearing. If you know we're trying to eke out a remnant of truth in a very fraudulent world. It's all a fiction, until you find out what the reality is, and then all the illusions go. Even when people think they woke up, yeah, they have not woke up very often. It's a very, very deep journey, and I hope that you'll join us on our journey here, because we're trying to make lemonade out of lemons. Okay, that's what we're going to do right here on realpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network. I'm Desert Owl. Thanking you for tuning in and telling you, don't forget, if you want to know the future, just look for the forbidden history. We'll see. And do tell your friends.